It is time to talk about the computer game explosion that has occurred in the last 40 years, for it has profoundly changed the fabric of social interaction and entertainment, and the education community must adapt to stay relevant and effective. In 1971, Computer Space became the first commercially sold computer game, utilizing a very funky fiberglass cabinet, black and white monitor, kind of like Asteroids, but without the asteroids. 40 years on from those humble beginnings, computer games have become a virtual reality, alternative world, which so closely mirrors our own that it is common for users to choose it over reality. Washington University's Critical Gaming Project has some statistics on the phenomenon. US and video game software sales grew 22.9% in 2008 to $11.7 billion, more than quadrupling sales since 1996. 68% of American households play computer or video games. 40% of all game players are women. These statistics, however, are over 4 years old, which is before the 250 million iPhone sales, each of which has access to over 700,000 applications. Types of games that are played include action games, adventure games, fighting games, puzzle games, role-playing games, simulations, sports games, strategy games. From an educational perspective, it is important to consider the changes to the learning styles of today's digital natives. The overstimulation of being constantly plugged into entertainment and communication has caused the youngest generations to become disengaged with traditional instruction. They require multiple streams of information, prefer inductive reasoning, want frequent and quick interaction with content, and have exceptional visual literacy skills. What this means is traditional pedagogies must adapt to this generation's needs, embracing the potential of new technologies. There are many benefits available to children and adults who use computer and video games in a healthy way. In addition to providing entertainment, some games can introduce children to computer technology, give practice in following directions, problem solving and logic, use of fine motor and spatial skills, visual skills, and they can provide occasions for parents and children to play together. There are, however, many risks associated with computer and video games, which include becoming addicted, being exposed to violence, particularly practicing violent acts in the first person, developing or reinforcing negative racial or sexual stereotypes. Computer game addicts spend so much time playing they can lose their jobs, break up their families, and stunt their social development. Several reviews of the literature on gaming over the last 40 years have consistently found that games promote learning and or reduce instructional time across multiple disciplines and ages. In digital game-based learning, Richard Van Eck calls for research explaining why DGBL is effective, engaging, and effective, and practical guidance for how, as in when, with whom, and under what conditions, games can be integrated into the learning process to maximize their learning potential. Dr. Craig Anderson, one of the leading researchers on video game violence, has produced a simple 3-point summary stating that with games, learning happens. With games, content matters. And importantly, venting, the theory that players get rid of angry feelings when they play computer games, does not work. Crawford in 1997 concluded that games are effective not because of what they are, but because of what they embody and what learners are doing as they play a game. Learning takes place within a meaningful to the game context. What you must learn is directly related to the environment in which you learn and demonstrate it. Thus, the learning is not only relevant, but applied and practiced within that context. Learning that occurs in meaningful and relevant contexts is more effective than learning that occurs outside of those contexts, as is the case with most formal instruction. Researchers have also pointed out that the play is a primary socialization and learning mechanism, common to all human cultures and many animal species. Lions do not learn to hunt through direct instruction, but through modeling and play. In conclusion, is this quote section from Digital Game-Based Learning in 2006. Jean Piaget's theories about children learning include the concepts of assimilation and accommodation. With assimilation, we attempt to fit new information into existing slots or categories. Games that are too easily solved will not be engaging, so good games constantly require input from the learner and provide feedback. Games embody this process of cognitive disequilibrium and resolution. The extent to which games foil expectations, as in create cognitive disequilibrium, without exceeding the capacity of the player to succeed, which largely determines whether they are engaging. Interacting with the game requires a constant cycle of hypothesis formulation, testing, and revision. This process happens rapidly and often while the game is played with immediate feedback. Games that are too easily solved will not be engaging, so good games constantly require input from the learner and provide feedback. Games thrive as teaching tools when they create a continuous cycle of cognitive disequilibrium and resolution, via assimilation or accommodation, while also allowing the player to be successful. Thank you for listening. That was Module 7. It was Analysis of Computer Games in Education.